Welcome, everyone. Another pregame funk episode with Riley and I. We actually just wrapped up with a pretty cool guest with Andrew Wells. We got pretty nice, pretty cool, long, in-depth conversation. So that's going to be pretty sweet. Be on the lookout for that coming up here in the next few weeks. We have gotten in some requests. You know, we put out a post the other day saying, like, if you guys have questions about your work, you can send them in to us at our Forging Brains podcast Instagram page or to the Forging Brains at Gmail, Forging Brains podcast at gmail.com. We'll look at them and then we'll discuss some of them. So we have a few already that people have sent in and want to have a look. So where do you want to start, Riley?
Let's start with Colton Childs. So I don't
All
like
right.
we're just gonna say these people's names. Like I don't know if you guys are trying to stay anonymous or not, but you might want to mention that if you are. Uh,
Yeah. If you want to stay anonymous, just put that in the message or whatever. But
and
looks like
we could
Colton
try to
sent
keep
in
it
some.
like if you're having problems forging shoes and your trim, like obviously like we aren't the world's best horseshoers, but it's like we could tell you what we're seeing, and it's like we'll try to even talk about our jobs on there. But even if you're trying to like if you got a problem, you're forging tools and stuff, and like a certain issue keeps on arising or a question in the forging process, like hit us up and we'll try to help you out with that. But
Yeah, if
yeah,
there's
let's
like a
start
little
with
backstory
Colton's
to
job.
what you're working on, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, might help
So
out.
he's got here,
So
looks like a plain stamp.
yep, it looks like it's out of 3/8 by 1, possibly plain stamp.
Yeah, kind of looks like
Is that
that.
what? It just looks like it has a real wide lateral branch. And so like this is something kind of fresh in my head right now because we just kind of did it at a contest is we chose the wrong stock. And so I think that's like one thing that happened to Colton right away on this shoe job is he just chose too big of a stock, you
Yeah,
know? And so like there was just a lot of material for that side and then like how thin a walled the horse was and how like skinny the foot was. It it didn't look right probably at the anvil when he was forging it. And so it was really hard to get a good shape that looked good on the anvil and looked good on the foot, because like just right off the bat, I think he could have went with 3/8, 3/4 and bumped the toe a little bit and it probably would have flown a little bit better around there.
yeah. It just kind of looks like it's just like bent around and not necessarily forged, especially if it's like 3/8 by 1.
Yep.
As far as like the nail placement goes, I think like his nail placement's pretty good as far as like it's just a little bit high in the medial toe there, but as far as
Yeah.
like at the widest part of the foot, it's pretty good.
No, it looks like he has a good nail placement. Like the nails were punched nice. It's really nice that like one of my pet peeves when you see bad frog eyes left on the shoe. I don't care how you
Yeah.
take care of them, just take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I even
Yep.
like with my shoe, and if I'm gonna have a shoe that I'm gonna rasp on, I might just take care of the frog eyes with my rasp if I don't want to forge on them a bunch.
Yep.
But he has no frog eyes, so that's really nice. He has no frog eyes. His nails seem to be sitting really nice in there, so that's sweet. And he has a nice clip source. Like it's not a bunch of dings with a clip and hammer, so that's sweet to
Yeah.
see.
It's clean. Could use just a little bit of like a bump in the toe for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I think the toe is actually like kind of nice width. I think it's just that lateral branch is so much bigger that it just like it
Yeah,
never
it takes
flows out
away.
of the toe. So
Mm-hmm.
like you're just comparing it to that lateral toe quarter, the width. And so yeah, compared to that, it looks like the toe could be a little bit more. But if you just like put your hand over that lateral side and look at just like the distance from the tip of the frog to the inside rim of the shoe, like that looks pretty good. I think that width was kind of nice.
Yeah, you're totally right. I'm doing that right now. It's actually, yeah. I mean, it's
And
clean.
I think
Like
if he would have
the
just
section's clean.
yeah, if he would have just cut less material and drawn the lateral branch more, which like
Mm-hmm.
you can see like the lateral branch was just already big. You could he was like, "Man, I can't hit this thing anymore. It's going to be a monster."
Yeah, and on the
Like
picture from the back,
I've
you can
been
see it's
there.
pretty wide. But it does
Yeah,
look
you
like
can
the
see
foot kind of wraps in pretty hard on the lateral aspect too, behind the quarter.
dude, and those are so freaking hard when they have like a pretty good lateral quarter, but that lateral heel comes really around. Like
Yeah, it's
You
hard to
know
make
you
it
need a
not look
lot of
too rappy.
material to do it. Yeah, you know
Hmm.
you need the material, but you just also are trying to make it look right on there. And so
Right.
it's like just right off the bat, that was a hard one. But I think he did pretty good. It's just like missing a couple little things, and it's like just less steel. I think less steel would have been sweet. It would have helped him out, made it a little bit easier on him.
Yeah, and then
Trim looks
I
trim
guess
looks nice.
frog tip of the frog could be cleaned up. Knife
Yeah,
work.
okay, just a little bit. And I don't
And a
know
couple
where Colton's
tags.
from either, so like I don't know if he's just trying not to touch the frog, or if like might be a situation like where you get into it and you're into it, like it starts peeling up and it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure,
Yeah, I
but
guess
I
the last
agree.
photo that we have of the lateral shot, clinches look weak.
Yep,
As
could have a
far as
little
like that
stronger
heel one's
clinches.
rasped off. And I don't know
Yep,
if he uses a gouge or not, but that would be a good place to start.
for sure, it'd help you out, get so then you aren't robbing the material as much. And something like
But
just make sure clinchers are pointed all up, straight up and down, so you aren't getting your clinches pointing off different directions.
yeah, not in the wind.
Yeah,
As far as like, I mean, there's no like the dressing looks fine. I mean, there's a little bit of like rasp mark grooves in it, but
pretty
um,
straight wall though. Like it's not dubbed off or
yeah,
rolled or anything. Like it's pretty straight.
hasn't been gouged
That's
hard
nice.
like with the core side of a rasp. And yeah,
Nope. Or rest too high. That's usually kind of a
I'm
pet peeve
assuming
of
he
mine as
must be
well.
practicing for. No, this wouldn't be a CJF practice actually because it's toe clip.
Yeah, it would be quarter clips on the hind end. I think he's just
Yeah.
forging shoes. And another thing is like I don't know where you are. He is, but it's like the heel checks could have been a little bit better on the shoe for better clean out. That's pretty
Yeah.
big here. We get thrushy horses if we don't have good clean out.
After
Awesome.
seeing it from the back, and how much width he has there on the outside, a like a reverse lateral check or whatever would have been suitable because it
Yeah.
would have like shortened it up there on the inside, and then that
Yep.
the medial check definitely. I mean, it looks like it's hanging over the frog, so it's just got to be cleaned out.
Yeah, I just needed a check put in.
Yep.
Cool. Hopefully that helped, Colton. And thanks for sending in your shoe job, man. I appreciate it.
And then
Next we have Estrin. I'm not gonna say it correctly, but this
Hove
guy's name
Slugari.
we would call him Thomas Estrin, but I have met Thomas in person. I got to go to Gotland. Thomas actually hosted the clinic that I did in Gotland in Sweden.
Oh, you've
And
met him?
yep, I have been to
Oh,
Thomas's
nice.
house, and you would not call him Thomas; it would be Tomas.
Oh, I guess it does say on the bottom of the message, Thomas Estern,
Yep,
Sweden,
yep,
from
Tomas.
Sweden.
Tomas is a very, very nice guy, and they have a really cool community over there, and like, oh God, dude, of all the places I've traveled, coolest place I've ever been. Like, it was,
Sweden.
yeah, well, I didn't spend any time in mainland Sweden. Like, he lives in an island off, kind of off, like, like Whidbey is for Washington.
Uh huh.
He lives on this island called Gotland, and Gotland is the only place that has still a continual medieval wall. And so like it's kind of crazy. Like he lives in like a townhouse. Well,
Uh
you
huh.
can literally just walk like 2 or 3 blocks, and you like enter this brick wall with all these castles and everything inside, and all these old
Damn.
houses, like what you would see in a movie.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
yeah.
if you get like, Google Gotland, it is
I
amazing,
was watching
amazing
a
freaking
like
place.
a documentary show. It was about Sweden, I think, and over there because they are in between. Like they stayed by themselves, and there's so many like hidden bunkers and shit there, or in the Switzerland. No, that's Switzerland. Not
Probably the Swiss, yeah.
yeah,
Hard,
not
it's easy to
Sweden.
get them confused. The
Yeah,
other
that's
S.
Switzerland. Whoops. My bad.
He sent us a couple shoe jobs. He sent us some befores on this horse too.
These
The first horse is like the befores are pretty rough. Like they're like toe clip is straight up and down, low nails, dubbed walls, foot was left long.
definitely looks like
Just
it probably overdue as well.
oh yeah, very overdue. Just all around. Horse was not set up success and like to for later in its thing. He got the shoe popped off. It looks like there's actually like the before trim looks pretty, like there's foot there. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it looks flat,
The
but
Yeah, that's the one hard
depth
thing that
wise.
like you see this horse right away is like he looks flat and he doesn't have a huge frog. And
Yeah.
so it's like that can be hard. Like if they don't have
Yeah.
a real big frog and like strong bars and stuff and they have a flat foot, it's like
How
hard
much
road
can I get
ahead
away with
there.
taking off here, without going too
Yeah.
crazy?
And so in his trim picture, I think he did a pretty good job on his sole knife work. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those chalky soles, so those are kind of hard to make look real smooth anyways without getting into them too much. The horse had gobs of hoof wall thickness
Yeah, and it just
and
got
in a
very
tight white line.
yeah, not stretched terribly bad.
No, or like noting like black separation or anything like that. Like it's a nice tight foot, strong hoof wall. Yeah, he could have done a better job at like this is something that I'm like working on really hard right now and like that I focus on is even hoof wall thickness. And
Yeah,
so he
you can
just
see
doesn't
it there on
have
the lateral.
yep, it's just thicker there. It's way thicker. And so like something to take into consideration is like the wall in your quarters is the most straight up and down, and so that's going to have the thinnest hoof wall, right? Because it's like if you take something and just put it like a piece of wood straight up, a 2x4 straight up and down, that's going to be its smallest footprint. But if you go and cut that 2x4 at a 45, it's going to have a wider footprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hoof wall and the toe should be the thickest because that's at the most angle. And
Yep.
then the hoof wall in your quarters should be the thinnest. And so that's something I try to keep in mind when I'm trimming feet is I establish my quarter thickness and then I try to just have it a slight bit thicker in the toe to make up
Yeah,
for that
naturally it
angle.
should.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I
so I
mean,
think he could have done a little better job on the hoof wall thickness.
yeah, right there at the lateral toe could have just been gathered up to make it not look so muley, and then like that lateral
Mm-hmm.
last little bit. I mean, it hooks in there. Like you could just sweeten that up with a rasp just a little bit before you top dress it to make it flow just a little bit.
And it would make it way easier to fit.
Yeah, 100%.
Anytime you leave those hooked heels like that, it doesn't help them grow that nice. It's there next time,
Yeah, it's
overflowing
gonna
the
look
shoe.
like it's a upright foot like the before's picture did.
Yep. And it's like to fit that, you either have to have a huge heel to cover it, or you have to like put a kink in the dang heel to cover it.
Right.
And so it's like if you can just kind of sweeten it up and start setting it up for success next time, it'll be easier to fit, and the foot will start coming around. And it seems like feet that get weak quarters start getting boxy because those like it seems like the quarters are distributing front and back. But then if you can kind of get in the feet where they're strong again in the quarters, they're more flowy and they have less of that hook and it's easier to fit up. You just got to kind of start that direction.
Yeah, you can see in the top dress picture that he basically just top dressed the front half and didn't touch the back half any. And
Yep.
if he would have just touched that back off, it'd be much more flow. Look like it.
And you can see it. You can see it in his shoe job. Like the toe looks really nice and flowy because he top dressed it and made it look nice. But
Mm-hmm.
then he had to hook the heels in on the shoe a little bit.
I mean, the shoe's clean. Like
Yeah, it's very clean. Yeah, it's real clean.
I think
And then
it could have been sweetened up a little on the medial.
yeah, it sweetened up a little bit, and it would have helped him cover a little bit better on that medial.
Yep.
And the one thing I try to do on these horses that are like already look flat-footed and have a weak frog like that, I try not to top the frog. I try to just clean the side of the commerceurs,
Mm-hmm.
and so the foot cleans out and it doesn't get weak from thrush. But I try to leave it as much weight-bearing surface as tall as possible,
Yep.
so he doesn't collapse. Hopefully, is more that has support in the middle of his foot. So
Yeah, I
I
like to
would have
try to think I
maybe
do the
left a
same.
little bit there. Yep. Finish looks sweet. He just had one low toenail, but other than that, like he had the clip burned in real nice.
As Troy says, "Stairway to heaven," right?
That's what Troy calls him. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stairway to
That's what he
heaven.
said after one of the shoe and goes. It's like, yeah, my nails are fucking stairway to heaven.
Yep. Man, they
But
happen.
I guess you can kind of see it in the shoe how the The toenail is actually the finest punched nail in his shoe.
Yep.
So
Was
that kind
that
of transpires.
when he's nailing up, and that was like he already had a lot of hoof wall thickness there, and so if he was like trying to fit the hoof wall thickness that he was really far away from the white line.
Yeah, true.
So like if you
True.
were gonna fit that hoof wall perimeter, you'd have to punch that lateral toenail super deep so you could get to the white line. Like,
With a
or you
lot of
gotta
pitch.
hog that hoof wall away.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I mean, looking at the top dressing before picture, before he has it nailed up,
Yeah.
it looks like there's a bump still there, and then after the nailed up picture,
He had to
it
take
looks
it.
like he set the shoe back some almost or something
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
took it away. But
That's what happens, man. It's like you realize, like that's the hardest part is knowing what's in the future. So you're like, all of a sudden you go to burn and you're like, oh crap, I got to get rid of all this junk. like I was a little like,
yeah,
I don't think it's a bad deal. I think you can get yourself in a bind like taking it beforehand before you learn, before you get some like a rep, something in your
experience
head where you're
unknown.
like, this is how far I can go, and now I'm gonna fit it. Like, so
Yep.
like I don't think that's a bad way to do it. Sometimes of like I'm gonna be conservative, check it with my shoe, and then maybe I'll start melding them together a little bit, to get somewhere.
Yeah, and you can
And then
also
he
see it in,
sent
like in the finished picture where he's like full right there at the third nail. You know, if he
Yep.
would have sweetened up his trim, he wouldn't have had to come out there and around like that, and he could have
No,
primed to fit it,
yep, it
and it
made
would
it
have
kind
been.
of a flat spot.
Mm-hmm. So it almost
Yeah.
like enhances it for the next shoeing.
and you almost have no choice once you leave that trim like that. You have to arch your shoe. I mean, you can't just put a big old freaking
Mule
flat and
shape.
then a kink
Yeah.
and a kink. Like it's not good. Then he sent a big shoe picture of like a
The
draft
shape,
horse. It looked like.
the shape looks sick. I like
Yeah,
that inner
and
shape.
that's one thing you got to know too. Of like, they're from a different country, so it's like they have a different style. And one thing of their style is big heels.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something I've noticed in there. Even their keg shoes that are offered to their market, they're big heeled shoes. Like it's just something, and they have these really compact feet. They're kind of more of an upright cob, gypsy draft horse type foot. It seems like.
Uh huh.
No, I like it. I like his shape. Like, I think it's pretty sweet, and the prep work looks pretty good. Like the frog looks nice. It's pointed in the nice direction, and like it has lines, which is nice. The only thing that my eye picks up right away is maybe a little bit wide in the lateral toe. It could have used a little bit of sectioning up in that lateral
Yeah.
toe.
Just forged out.
And I,
And
I would I would think that he would maybe a little bit tight in the lateral quarter.
let's see. I don't know. As far as like the top picture, like it looks like
It
he's
doesn't look like it, huh?
no, it's fit out and around. I think it's just a matter of just needs refinement on the horn. You know, something like Craig likes to do all the time. Like after he's got his toe turned, is he'll grab it from the outside heel basically, and then go from toenail to toenail, from lateral to medial, and then grab it from the medial, and then go from medial toenail to lateral toenail, and then you just iron it out after that. And
Yep.
then you almost do the same thing when after you get done fullering and punching it, you grab it by your toe, and then you run it all the way down to the quarter, and then over the quarter, and then you grab it at the heel, and then you go up from your heel to the quarter, and then you go from the quarter up to your toe, just running it on the horn squarely. Like you're not having to hit it hard. You're not
No,
pinching it up too
you're
hard.
just sectioning. Like,
Yeah, you're just cleaning up that section, making it flow.
and
And
sometimes it's just literally just like the section your stock is angled, and so coming from that other direction, coming from heel to toe, just lets you run it on the horn the opposite way, and so it squares things up. Like you
Yeah.
don't have that diagonal going on your section anymore.
right. And I think if his fuller was just a tick wider, it wouldn't make it look like the nails are wider than the fullering.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
And then he could have fullered back just a little bit farther, like depth wise,
Yes.
because it
Yep.
looks like it's punched for the nail, and then it just squiggly lines up, and
It comes out
could be
real
cleaner.
quick. Yep.
Yep.
I agree. No, all around that was a pretty good one though.
Could use like
And
stronger
then
clinches on them, but yeah.
there was another one you just sent me of that slider.
Oh yeah.
Now the slider one's hard for me because like I don't shoe a bunch of reining horses,
I don't either.
but I do know from like talking to Patrick McKenzie about the reining horses. Chad Chance is like he put some sliders on the WCB list, and he's talked
Mm-hmm.
a bunch about it and like kind of given us the gist. And one thing I have gathered is like you kind of want a rounder toe in the slider. He's got a pretty pointy toe going on in that slider, but that
Yeah.
looks like a pretty pointy foot.
Yeah.
And it's like something that like Craig threw at us a long time ago, and now like it's hard for your head not to see it. Is like you might ask like how the hell can you tell that's a pointy foot? There's a shoe on it. Well, the bars are going to match the angle of the toe quarters, and I can just see that those bars are very steep, and so the foot's and the frog is very steep and pointed, and so the foot's going to match those same things. And it's like so it's going to be a pretty steep pointy foot.
Kind of like the shape of Tomas's draft foot there, where it's like kind of like a spade. Then you're saying?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess something that Patrick said was, your shape of the slider isn't necessarily the foot; it's the punching of the nails, right?
Yep. Yep. It
That's
is.
what kind of is the shape, and he just looks like he fit the foot, right?
Yeah, I think he did, but it looks like it might have been a pre-made shoe, so it's like your hands are kind of tight at that point. You kind of have to shape it to
Yeah,
the white line and get it on
that's
there.
true.
I don't want to get stuck on that too much, but it is a smooth shape.
Yeah,
It's not kinked or anything. It looks like you were using the horn very well, like
yeah,
very smoothly. Like it
clean.
has a very even toe. It doesn't look too asymmetrical, but it is asymmetrical. It's for its side. It looks nice. One thing I would watch is knife work on the frog.
Yeah, I think it's just a little overdone, huh?
And I don't even know, like it's just it's getting to that point. It's at one of those points where you're like, man, should I stop? Like there's little bits like you need to do.
He's got too many different
Nice
lines like
swipes.
cut in. Yeah,
Yep.
different planes, right?
And so that's one thing you gotta like kind of when you're learning frog knife work is the least amount of cuts the better.
Yeah,
So you want to pull nice long cuts. But something too that like if I get to this point in a frog and I'm like, man, things are looking confusing and I don't want to do too much more damage. So one thing I try to do is I'm gonna round the tip of the frog up as much as I can. And so it
mm-hmm.
doesn't look like it's pointing any certain direction.
Yep.
Like I just try to round it, It's like let somebody else choose where it's gonna go. I'm not gonna lead their eye there because you might not put the shoes square to that, and then it's like things are looking really unintentional.
Yeah,
And so I try to get that gone, and then I just try to put two strong lines on either side of the frog. And so that's where your eyes are going to go to. It's like if I don't want you to have too many squiggly lines, so I would have just tried to even up those high spots because obviously the low spots are already low. You know what I mean? So it's like their damage is already
can't take
done. At
him
least
any
try to get
lower.
no. It's like so stay off the low spots, but try to even out the highs a little bit to get to a point where things aren't looking weird. Because like even if we think that like clients don't know anything, they pick up something that's weird and they're like, that just kind of looks rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I don't know shit about fine woodwork, but I can tell you when somebody carves a bad spoon compared to a really nice one.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's the same like and it's the same thing as like a client picks up your shoe job and they're like, that looks sweet. I don't know what is about it, but like it looks really natural. It looks organic on there. Like
Yeah. Like kind of what you say with that is like I've had clients go away to like college or somewhere and they go somewhere and take their horse with them or whatever and then they come back to you and they're like I never really understood why you took so much time when you did like trimming the foot and stuff like I could tell a difference when I went to go pick out my horse's foot.
yeah,
When they were
that's
there like
usually the one is like people like if I get on a new client, my clients that I take on now are like or like that end up calling me are never they're never really lame or anything like that. It's like continual foot problems that are just kind of like leading on and on and on, and they're over them. And it's like I feel like I'm just an okay basic horseshoer, and it's
Yeah,
like the
I mean
first
that's
time
kind of what I like to
they're
be.
like I could pick out the horse's feet so easy, and it's like
I
it's a
mean that's
weird
the
world, man.
basic functions of horseshoeing, you know, just
Oh yeah, it's like clean out, just straight
yeah.
up clean. I'm such a freaking stickler. I was like, I'm gonna lean to like it's gonna be shod penny on a penny. Like some guys might call it short, tight, but it's like it'll clean out. It ain't gonna have
Yeah.
thrush. Like and he ain't
Yeah.
pulling that bastard off. Like it's gonna
I
be on there.
I mean a lot of your problems come from like the shoe hanging over in our environment and shit getting stuck in there, right?
Yep.
You know.
That's I really it's like in our world, I bet we have more lame horses that are like thrush, bad
Mhm.
thrush because the shoe's not cleaning out and he's not getting a good knife job on his frog or his bars. Or too much steel and he's sucking shoes off all the time and the foot's already so wet and the paddock has such big rocks that it
Yep.
gets chunked away and there's no foot left anymore. So it's like you're in a little bit of a situation. Like
Yeah.
that seems like that's a very common thing around us
And
to
then
see.
people taking them too short and then hanging that steel on
Yep.
there.
So I think he did a night. Who's this here that we Mike
Mike
Hill.
Hill.
Mike had a sweet job on the shoe. He did a pretty nice job on the bar. Fairly nice sole work. Looks like he didn't get into the horse too far, so that's nice. The only thing I could really we could pick on is just try to sweeten up that knife work on the frog a little bit. I think you were
I
down the right path for sure.
think something that will be beneficial for people in the future is take a picture of the foot picked out, not trimmed, and then also take a picture of it then trimmed, and then maybe post a lateral shot of it. You know,
Yep.
if you want like a trim analysis or whatever you want to call it, criticism from us, and then we can get a better understanding on where it came from. Like that's what we do in our group chat is,
Yeah.
you know, where's the if we get a picture from one of our friends that's a trimmed foot, we're always like, well, what did it start like? You know, so if we can kind of get an understanding of like what's the foot like before it was trimmed, that helps out a lot.
A ton. That's like it's the same thing that happens when you're at a contest. Like the judges go and look at the pre-trimmed foot. Your teammates, your colleagues, they all come and look at your pre-trimmed foot,
Yep.
see where you're gonna go, and to discuss it, and then go for it. See where it's
Yeah.
heading.
Yeah, and then if you do send a finished picture, send it with the nail sticking out, not finished,
Yeah,
and
pre-clinch.
then you can kind of know on to be on it, like to be honest with yourself, you know, showing like if you were to go to certification or a contest nowadays, some judges what they'll do is once you've called for the judging and they score it, they'll take a Sharpie and scribble lines on the dorsal wall
Yeah.
to know how much you are rasping off when they're checking it for fit. So,
Yep.
you know, if you're wanting to get better, you have to be honest with yourself, you know, in order
Yep.
to get better.
Save the hidden polished up pictures for Facebook. That's where they go.
Yeah, yeah. We do need to start that fucking.
Yeah, we're
Facebook
gonna
page
try
or
to start
whatever.
a Facebook group so you guys can post them onto there. So then even if you guys want to help each other out, you know, not have us say on it, post some things on there, and then we can discuss even that post or even go from
Yeah.
there. You know,
Yeah,
try to make it easier to help each other out. Try not to stay in isolation and keep talking about these things of the struggles of all this. You know,
well,
It's-
should we
I think
answer old Greg Wilson's question that he has for us?
yeah, and we got a question from. Let me go back there.
So Greg's
That's good.
here. His is a bit of a long question, but he has a career now and it's in computer work, and he's 56 years old and he's considering wanting to become a farrier as a second career. He says, I know it's hard work. Would you recommend going to a farrier school as a starter? I know the basics of hoof care. I have shadowed our farrier and trimmers on the ranch. I'm feeling sort of called to it. He's like, our farrier mentioned school was not as good as apprenticing with a seasoned guy who could teach me the real life oddities. But one thing that I think of is with farrier school, it prepares you to become an apprentice.
Yeah, I think like man, we just kind of got done talking with Andrew, and this is something that he touched. He's like, he didn't go to school to try to get his full education. He went to school so he could relate with people. So now you could show up and you know the terminology, you know what a pair of clinchers are, you know what a pritchel is, and you know what they're used for. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so I do think apprenticing can work out for somebody, you know, but I think that works out for the better for younger dudes kind of that can just be like fully in it. But it's like, so I think this guy is like, no offense, you're 56-year-old and time is ticking. And so it's like, you might want to short path this a little bit. And school is a great concentration of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could go ride with a guy for 8 weeks, and you might not get too far, and he might not let you work on too many of his horses because this is his business that he's trying to keep going. If you
Yep.
go to school for 8 weeks, you're gonna do all of it.
Yeah.
There's like you're gonna do all of it, and you're gonna be forced to learn anatomy. You're gonna be forced to learn these like terms. You're gonna be forced to make these shoes and to shoe these horses. I do think it is a if you're serious about it, and like even if you don't know you're serious about it, it might be cheaper and quicker to find out how serious you are of just going to a school.
Well, he could actually do the 8 weeks of riding with somebody and just going through the innuendos of what's it like to work as a farrier, what are the struggles that he goes through, and then make the decision like, oh, I want to go more in depth with this, so then go to school. And then maybe whoever you pick that you're able to go with that 8 weeks before, once you get out of school, maybe he'll be like, oh, dang, he is serious about this, and maybe I can let him do some more, and then
Yeah,
you know it
no, that's a
travels
good
on
point.
from there. And at the end, he asked, "Are AFA or other certs important? Critical?" Well, you and I both are advocates of that, so we are gonna say yes.
Yeah, we might be a biased group. I don't even think we're biased though. I think if you're
I think it's
serious
important.
about anything, it's as serious as you make it.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
I
get
think I
out of it
think
what you
like
put into it.
it is not critical. You don't like it is you are gonna you can shoot horses without it.
Yeah,
Like so
you
you
can.
don't have to have it at all, not legally, not any other part about it. But man, if you listen to a lot of people that have we've or if you listen to the people that we've already talked to, if you're serious about it, it's as serious as you are. And it's like so if you think it's for real and you think you need it, then you need it. And it's going to help
Mm-hmm.
you out. You're going to get out of it whatever you put into it. But if you show up there and like with the mindset already that it's not needed, then you're not going to get anything out of it. It's only going to be a waste of time and money and waste of the people's time there.
Yeah, totally. You're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So, um, I personally think it's critical, and I try to tell people like they should do it. That's just me though.
Yeah,
It benefited
I would
me.
push towards it. I would push towards
Yeah.
it, and I would think it's good for school. And I don't think it matters how old you are. Like I think it's one of
No.
the best. I love seeing older people in life tackle new things. So man,
Yeah.
more power to you. I hope it works out, and I hope you find what you're wanting to do because obviously you're not happy right now.
What was the other one that you saw on here, or was that the one you're?
I think that was it. I'm trying to look through, but I think that
Oh,
was.
here's one. Hey guys, I'm from Alberta. Question: Have you ran into any that have attended Butler's Farrier School? No, I haven't.
There's been good people. Jim Quick went to Butler's Horseshoeing School.
Oh, he did.
Yep. I think yeah, it's
Um,
horseshoeing school just like anything else, man. Get out of it what you put into it, no matter
and
where
then
you
I guess
go.
at the end he asked, "Would you guys do a podcast on business tips and how you guys do your scheduling?"
Probably don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
My business tips are a little sharky. Like I don't know. It's like,
I mean, I'll admit I'm not the greatest businessman out there either. So,
yeah.
usually I just schedule horses. I mean, I try not to work on the weekends, and nowadays I don't shoe as many as I used to, just because I know that like I've put enough work into it. I can charge a little bit more, and I do better work if I'm not doing as many horses in a day. And nowadays I start a little bit later in the day, about 10:30, because I spend time in the morning on the computer doing all this shit, and then I work till like 2:30, 3 o'clock sometimes, and I just I schedule everybody with this app on. It's called Google Calendar. So You get your email address from them, and then you put it in there, and then when you reschedule it, they get an email, and then they just know I'm coming this day, whether you're here or not. And typically, a lot of the horses I work on, they're good enough that I can do without the owner. So if I do need to reschedule someone, I just move them and uh, just grab them and do them. So I've kind of tried to, something that we talked about with Andrew or whatever, with horses not wanting to take burns. Those horses generally don't stay on my books very long because I get fucking fed up with them, so.
But don't think that's not for you. If you're just starting out and you need horses to shoe that pile of shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know
totally.
what I mean? Like, if he's not dangerous and he's not a complete like renegade and trying to kill somebody, man, somebody's got to shoot him, and somebody's got. I would. I think the biggest thing in business, like we all like to tell each other how to run each other's businesses, like do what fits your life and
Yeah,
your lifestyle and what makes you happy. If you want to shoe piles of horses and that makes you happy, shoe piles of horses. If you
yeah,
want to do just a few horses, do a few horses. But you need to be realistic with your life, know how much your expenses are, know
yeah,
how much it costs you to shoe a horse, not how much the books say, not how much the people on the internet tell you it is, how much expensive it is to shoe a horse. If you don't know, get an accountant. It's going to be cheaper to have an accountant than to be working in the blind, because there's so many guys that are shoeing horses that I don't think they're paying to shoe horses almost sometimes, because they don't realize that like sometimes it's cheaper to say no and not go to these certain things and so go to these certain clients. So understand how much it costs you to live, how much it costs you to shoe a horse, and try to run your business through there and try to like it's a business. Make money at it. Don't try to and like be like I'm so tired of horseshoers on the internet being like, well, I can't horseshoers can't afford health insurance and blah, blah. And it's like then you're not charging what you need to be charging to run a business. You don't hear that in any other businesses. So be aware and make it fit your life. And like Tom Willoughby really so it's like helped me out. He's like, if you need to make more than like say like $800 in the day or something like that, then you probably want to maybe look at how you're running your life, because you might be running your life way more expensive than you need to be, which is just causing you to work more. Yeah, but if that's what you like, you're like, well, I would like a wakeboarding boat, an RV, and a Corvette. And it's like, yeah, it's like, so there's your goal. Make your business that way. Like you need to like understand like, well, to get there, I need to charge this much per day, and I'll have to shoot this many horses. And it's like that you might after you do those numbers, you're like, maybe I don't want a wakeboarding boat and RV. Yeah, but if you do look at that and you're like, that's not that bad. I think I can make this happen. Well, more power to you, bro. Like just run your business how you want to, but don't be stupid. Don't be ignorant, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Be realistic, go to accountant, understand taxes, understand how much it is to actually run a business. Run this thing like an actual business, not like horseshoers do. We are the worst. Like, yeah, you're like, how much is that guy charging? Sounds good. I'll charge what he's charging. Like, oh, did we go too long? Mine's still uploading. I think I lost you.
yeah. That was fucking weird.
Well, here we are. You're back in a
Yeah,
different screen.
yeah, and that's three of us.
Yeah, all
Uh,
frozen Gavin in the middle. Well,
so I have one other one here that came up in the
perfect.
said. I thought a good idea for some topic of discussion would be show some advice for new guys trying to get into the trade. Things that they should and shouldn't do. Tools to buy, tools to stay away from, setting themselves up for success in business. We just kind of covered that. Common mistakes, etc.
Yeah, I think we cover a lot of the common mistakes just in every episode.
Yeah,
We go through like the beginning of people's trade. Uh, tools to buy is a hard one too. Of like, a tools can be therapy a little bit when you're beginning and you're feeling hard up, and like, man, a new hammer or something new can like really breathe a little bit of life into the week and like make you feel good and be excited to go back to work. So it's like, don't be afraid to try things out. Don't be and like establish your standards of yourself of what you're okay with, right? It's like I'm kind of a hippie person in general, and like I guess that's one way. It's like I'm small business. I don't like supporting things too much outside of my immediate circles. So it's like if I can support people that are within my little community, those are the people I try to support that I'm
Mm-hmm.
buying things from. And so have that thought, and there's just like most of the tools on the market right now in your supply houses are going to be okay. That's why the supply house is carrying it.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, it's
their
kind of
names on
something
the line.
like Robert. I think it was Robert that was talking about it with the Roy Bloom Fuller or whatever, and there's
Yeah,
nothing
Bloom's
wrong
a
with grabbing
great
a Roy
choice.
Bloom. Yeah, nothing wrong with grabbing a Roy Bloom Fuller. I mean, it is a little bit cheaper, and honestly, that's where I started with using with like Fullers is grabbing the Roy Bloom ones, and then because at the beginning stages you are going to wreck some tools, because you're learning how
I
to
think
use
that's
these
the biggest thing
tools.
to understand.
Is you are going to wreck them, and because if the tool does like get a scuff in it or a little chip or something, if you drive it in the anvil, it is not the tool's fault, it's your fault, and you learn from that.
Yep.
So at first it might
You
be
get to learn
easier.
double because you get to learn how
Yeah,
to fix that tool now.
true, true. And if they don't know how to fix it, ask somebody that does know how to. A lot of times most people are willing to help somebody else, you know
Man, Andrew
and
told that story of that he had some Roy Bloom Fullers that he wrecked
that's
and
right.
learned how
Yeah, it
to
was
grind.
Andrew.
And he just asked Bloom himself, and Bloom took the time to go over there and teach him how to grind a folder up and like how to fix them.
Yep.
So it's like, be aware they're consumables. Every tool we
Yeah,
use is a consumable.
that's right.
None of them are meant to last for a long time. So when you're
Yeah,
first
it's hard to
starting
say
out,
on
just be ready to wreck them.
what. Yeah, it's hard to say on what tool to get. I guess it just kind of depends
Yeah.
on the amount of money that you have and the amount of money that you're willing to potentially risk at the beginning stages.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
but
No,
it is
like even though
important to
you
also buy
buy,
something good.
and you can be a little safer too. Is like you can buy a pair of nice tongs, and you aren't gonna probably
Yeah,
wreck them. You could buy a nicer, like rounding hammer or clipping hammer or a driving hammer. You probably aren't gonna wreck them.
yeah.
But
A
as
lot of like
far as
flatland forge tools are gonna be pretty dialed too.
excellent, excellent tools.
Yeah, I use
And
flatland forges
but
every day.
if you were gonna buy a 4-punch, Pritchell, or Fuller when you're starting out, go with the cheaper route. You're gonna trash it, like you just
Yeah,
are.
and don't get the ones with
You
the metal handle.
no, geez, it's gonna hurt. It's
Get
gonna
a
hurt
wood
really
handle.
bad.
Get a wood
Yeah, wood
handle, one
handle.
that's got an eye
Besides
in it with a wood handle.
4 punches, you have your 4-punch can be
Yeah,
a metal
four with
handle.
4 punches. Yes,
Just Fuller, get a wooden handled Fuller, and don't
I
think like,
remember.
oh, the fullering looks bad because of the fuller. The fullering looks bad because you suck still.
Yeah,
Just
and
be
you're just
okay with
learning.
it.
You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, just keep doing it. Just keep going.
I
Like,
actually, I remember when I went to college. The list of tools that we had to buy, it pretty much was all just Roy Bloom stuff, and
yeah.
the fuller on there was the welded metal handle one.
Oh
And
yeah.
dude, it was so hard to learn how to use it, just because like it doesn't like knowing what I know now. Like God, I would have saved myself so much time if I would have had the wooden one, wooden
But it's
handle one
almost
instead of
kind
the
of
metal
nice
one.
when you use the shitty one, and then you're
You
like, you
appreciate it.
go to yeah, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah,
this is a whole new world.
yeah.
It's a great
It.
thing.
I was happy when I got a wood one because the metal one then became a hot cut.
Yep. Yeah,
So I
exactly.
got
I
two
still
tools
have
out
my
of it.
first. My first Roy Bloom Fuller I still have, and it's ground into a flat bottom Fuller that it's still in my rig, and I use it for
Yep.
concave.
Yeah.
It's
Hell yeah.
still in the rotation.
Eventually, that's the other thing too is like you buy these tools in the beginning and you probably are going to have them for the rest of your career and they will probably be used again for something. You know,
Yep,
you may not use
for
it every
sure.
day, but eventually it'll have a purpose, right?
I know it can seem expensive, but yeah, just keep investing in yourself and trying to learn. And if it is uh, tools for starting out, make them. That's where I was too broke to buy tools, and so that's where I started forging tools because I wanted tools to break, and I needed tools to keep practicing. So like I just got into forging them. So don't be afraid to grab a stick of some 4140 or some S7 and make yourself some four punches and pritchels, and
Yeah.
just wreck them and keep making them. Because if you are broke and you are starting out, you could probably use the hammer practice anyways. And forging four punches square is really hard, and it can be great practice. And you learn your tool inside and out. So it's don't be afraid of it.
And then there's another one on here. I think it was a Jordan Suinsons. It's a pretty long-winded one. I think he was kind of asking about what do you think about a 2-week course at Texas Horseshoeing School or Oklahoma, and then riding with the farrier who taught me to trim would be a good route. I don't see myself being able to go and do Heartland. My schedule and financial situation.
I think just go. Just like whatever you think you can do it. Like I don't answer a lot of people, and I feel bad sometimes, and they're like, "How do I get started?" And it's like, start. Just start.
Yeah, you'll hear
Any
in a
way that can
future
work for
episode.
you.
You'll hear in a future episode in a couple of weeks from Andrew Wells, and he has an incredible story on how he decided to start, which will answer pretty
Yeah.
much this question here.
Yep.
Andrew went to college and has master degree and all this crap, and he's shoeing horses now full time.
And
So
he did it with not a lot of money and not a lot of time. Like he just made it work.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
that's
think that's the
pretty
biggest
crazy.
thing is like if you got something in life that you think you want to do, man, I
Do it.
don't know. It's like I've almost died before, and ever since then, I was like, dude, just start doing it. You could die here really quick. Like you drive in the car, you could be sitting in the house and something could blow up. It's like just
Yeah.
begin, or you're gonna always be kind of after yourself that you didn't do it. I mean, that's like even this podcast. Me and Gavin knew nothing about podcasts. We just randomly
Yeah.
decided like we're gonna do this. And if we don't just start doing them, it won't happen. So it's like, bro,
You're
just
never
go.
gonna learn.
And
Yeah.
it's like no one ever, it doesn't really matter what school you went to. It just matters what you do there and after.
I kind of do think it matters what school you go to as far as
It
like a
can,
2 week one, versus an 8 week one. You're obviously going to get more out of the 8 week one. You know what I mean? I
but
mean, yeah, you might get a bait.
someone going to the 8 week one that isn't going to practice and isn't going to try to drive forward isn't going to get out of it with somebody goes to the 2 week one and is fucking hard after it. Like they're hungry.
Yeah, true
That
that.
hungry dude in 2 weeks is going to do more than the person in 8 weeks. And it's like I think the people in this guy's situation where he knows his time is already limited, like mom's and
Hmm.
dad isn't paying for him to go to horseshoeing school randomly. It's like you should be hungry or don't waste your time and money. It's like
Yeah,
and get
you're
after
paying it
it.
for
So like
yourself.
I think whatever you can get, whatever you can get a hold of with your teeth, get a hold of it and just hold on. Keep trying.
Yeah,
It'll go
true.
from there.
Yeah, so it's just a thing as well. If you're paying for it and it's your hard-earned money, you are probably going to put forth more effort into it.
Yep.
So
So whatever you
yeah.
can
So
afford, I think give it a try.
I do think you can't go wrong with either the Heartland or 5-star horseshoeing school, though. I mean, those ones are. You'll hear that from
They're top.
Andrew, and yeah,
They've and it's like not even, it's like they've just been around for a while. The teachers are very well educated themselves. Like it's all around. It's not
what are
something
some
that somebody can
other
just open this school and do
what are
that.
some other schools that are going on right now that are like top? I
There's
guess.
there's I don't know, but like it's hard. It's like there's Oregon
Cause
Farrier School is a good school.
oh yeah,
Uh,
with Butch. Yep.
yep. Wyoming Farrier School is a good school. Montana has a pretty good school.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, MSU.
yep.
That's at
Yep.
Bozeman.
Uh,
Is
I
Kentucky
want to
still
say
going?
I think Kentucky's still going. Lookout Mountain I think has a decent one there with Paul Doris. I think there's a couple other ones that I'm just like spacing right now, but there's a couple other good schools around. But like
There's the one
the
in
ones you're
like
gonna hear of the
Calif.
most is
There's a one in California that I think it's Bob, right?
Yeah,
I would
Pacific
stay away
Coast
from
or
that
something.
one.
I just have no
I've
idea about it, man. Like
I mean,
I've never met
there's a lot of
anybody
people that
really
come
from
up
there.
here. There's a lot of people that come up here and went there, and I see the work. I'm like, oof. Like, yeah, I don't know. Kind of one of
Calling them
those
out,
deals.
Gav. Calling them out.
Well, actually, I think there's a gal. She said, like, I wish I never would have went there. You know,
Yeah, that's
and I think
harsh.
she's from Oregon too.
I could see
Yeah, I
it.
don't know as many like other than those schools. Like, I don't know as what other schools are out there. Like Walla Walla is where I went at the community college, but it's now shut down.
It's
So,
done.
but that one's a 2-year program, so that's hard
Yep.
for somebody to. So as far as like other school, oh yeah, and there's the Ardmore one that Patrick went to, and he said that was fine.
Yeah, I think just go. Do what you got to do.
Yeah,
But cool. Is that all we
sweet.
had on questions then?
I believe so. So yeah, if you guys got
Right
some more
on, man.
questions for the next one, we'll or pictures or feet or whatever, we'll try and
Yeah.
get to them and hopefully get to them. It's easier for us to talk about it than it is to write a message out. Usually for me, anyways.
For sure. This is perfect, and then
So,
everybody else gets to hear as well. So it's a
yeah,
good deal.
and so yeah, if you don't necessarily hear back from us, like responding messagely wise, like text or whatever, it's probably because we are going to answer it on the pod.
Yeah.
So
We'll try to get back
yeah.
to you and let you know that we saw it, but we aren't always great. Speaking
Yeah,
of, man, like,
there's just a lot of shit going on.
it's almost dark now, and I gotta go cut 2 deer up.
It is
So,
dark.
Yeah. Oh, great. I'm in my little trailer, so it's like I gotta go
At
throw
least
the
the
headlamp
light stayed on this time.
Yep, got a new battery.
Oh, you
That
did?
helped out. Yeah, the other
I was
one
actually in
toast.
Harbor Freight yesterday, and I was like looking at the inverters, and I was like, I wonder which one
That's
Riley
where I got mine.
That's what I was
where I
wondering.
got
I was like,
mine.
which one did you get?
I think it's the 2000.
Was that like the big
size-wise.
dog one, or?
No, it's like
'Cause
the
I seen
middle.
there was like a couple, the middle.
Yeah,
Dude, I
it's the
love
middle
Harbor
one.
Freight.
Same here. It's like guilty
It's like-
pleasure.
Ashley can go walk around Target for hours. Like I could go walk in Harbor Freight.
Oh,
and just-
same here, dude. I'll come out with all the little bin things that are like rubber washers, plastics,
Yeah.
like assorted bolts.
I literally just bought those.
They're amazing.
Shit like that. I fucking love going to that store. It's great.
Fuck, that's awesome. All right,
All
Gav.
right, everyone. Thank you.
Good talk to you. Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Sounds good.